Well, what I've tried to do is explain that I believe that something doesn't come from nothing, that there's a grander purpose and a meaning to life.
All right.
I think that's my personal opinion.
No. You just made two completely different statements. One is that something doesn't come from nothing, and the other statement is that there's some grander purpose or meaning to life. Now, I have no position on whether or not something can or can't come from nothing. I don't particularly find that relevant, because even if it's impossible for something to come from nothing, that tells you nothing at all about what happened or what caused it. You don't know anything about it, whether it was a being, an intelligence, a natural law. You can't even speculate about things that happened before the Big Bang.
Right. Or whether there was nothing before the Big Bang. That's a huge assumption.
I'm talking about spirituality.
Well, who gives a damn about spirituality until you establish that there's something truthful in it?
Well, we can only, all of religion is only personal. It's speculation.
Okay, so basically you believe this, and it's your own personal speculation, and you have no rational justification for it.
No, I wouldn't say I have no rational justification, because what do you believe?
Then what's the rational justification? That's what I'm asking.
My rational justification for it is I look at the options and I think to myself that I look at my life and I say, I'm 20 years old, I'm a human being, I enjoy all these things of being a human being. I look at other people, I look at the history of the world, and I say to myself, rationally, I believe that there is something that I would call God that is behind all of this. I don't think this is all pointless, this is all purposeless, this all just arose. And that seems like a rational point of view.
You have no idea what rational means.
Well, that's your opinion. I think it's very...
No, that's a fact. You have no idea what rational means. If you think that... I'm talking about constructing a rational, logical argument that demonstrates something. What you said is, I look around and this is the way I feel about it. Well, how you feel about it has no bearing at all on what's actually true, and it's not relevant to a rational argument.
Okay, but there's never going to be... You're talking about proofs like that would be in a science book. That's never going to be there.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
Because we're talking about it's not a scientific claim that I'm talking about. I'm talking about
the mere fact
beyond the realm of science.
No, the mere fact that you are asserting that this is necessarily beyond the realm of science and non-demonstrable means that you are asserting properties about your claim. And these are also irrational properties. You're saying, I don't need to have a rational reason because I'm convinced there can't possibly be one. And then on the other hand, you're saying that you have a rational reason because that's what you think it is.
I didn't say I'm convinced there can't possibly be a rational reason for it. I said I'm convinced there can't be a demonstrable reason in the scientific way that you are looking for.
In other words, rational, which is why I said you have no idea what rational means.
I've never seen a definition of rational that says has to be a scientific explanation for it. It's what I look at and what I believe.
You were making claims about the universe earlier. I mean, we can test claims about the universe because we're part of the universe. We can test some claims at least.
You're doing the same thing with the word rational that Ray Comfort does with the word logic. He uses the word logic when he really means common sense or opinion. He has no idea what logic means or anything about it. And when I talk about a rational argument, I'm talking about a logical argument that's based on evidence, one that can be followed, one that is not simply a matter of personal preference or opinion. You're talking
that nobody's ever going to come with a scientific...
I don't know that at all, and I find it absolutely absurd that you think that it's okay to assert that without offering evidence for it.
No, I'm saying you know that there's not going to be a scientific proof in the way that you want. And
I just told you, no, I don't fucking know that. Do you just not listen to what I'm saying? You're telling me what I know, and I'm saying, no, I don't know that. That is a patently absurd assertion that requires knowledge that you or neither of us have about whether or not these answers are ultimately possible to discern. I don't know that it's not possible. How do you know it's not possible?
Because I know that when we talk about spirituality and religion, you're talking about things that are not that do not coexist with science in the way that you mean it. I mean, nobody's going to go out there.
So religious claims have no basis in the real world? Are you admitting that?
There's certain things that are basis in the real, certain manifestations, but if you're talking about proof over a phone discussion why you believe in this God rationally with a scientific proof, the way somebody would prove a geometric equation, that's never going to happen.
How do you know that it's never going to happen? Are you godlike? Are you omniscient?
Well,
okay, I mean, you know what I'm saying.
No, I don't. The problem is that you also don't know what I'm saying, and you don't know what rational means. I've tried to explain this very simply. Yes, we are looking for different levels of proof. We have different standards of evidence. You are willing to accept as a standard of evidence the I can't think of anything better argument, and I'm not.
No, it's not that I can't think of anything better.
Yes, it is.
No. I'm saying, when I said that I look at it, and I didn't ever say I look at the universe and I look at other people and my experience of consciousness and everything like that, and I come up with God because I can't think of anything else.
No, what you said, almost word for word, and we can rewind this later if we need to, is that you look at the possible answers, and God is the one that's most plausible.
Right.
Well, how do you know that you've evaluated all the possible answers?
I could say this. I could say to you that how do you know you've? I mean,
I don't know, and I've never claimed to have evaluated all the possible answers. That's why I think your absurd assertion that we can't know tells us more about your position than you think it does. I don't make that assertion that we can't know.
I never said we can't know. I said we can't be proved in the scientific way that you want it to be, that you're insisting it has to be.
Right, so how do you know that's true?
Claim.
That's a huge claim. How do you know that's true?
How do I know that it can't be that it can't be proved or disproved scientifically?
Yes.
Because how would anybody go out and test with a microscope whether or not? I mean, it's
so because you can't think of a way.
You could have a study about prayer and whether prayer works.
That doesn't matter because you can't think of a way. You're asserting that you know it can't be done. How arrogant is that?
No. That, again, you're twisting what I never. Okay, I'm saying that this is a claim that, as far as I can see, is not a scientific claim.
As far as I can see, I rest my fucking case. I just shut him down right fucking now. Hang up on his ass.
Yes, sir.
You are the most dishonest caller I've had, and it's so frustrating because we could have had a good conversation. You used the exact fucking words that I needed you to use to prove the point that I was saying a minute ago. Oh my God. I can't think of anything else. This is what I'm trying to say. You and I probably agree on a great many things. I'm assuming you're probably still watching the stream if I haven't pissed you off to some extent. I apologize, but this is so monumentally fucking frustrating when I get calls like this over and over and over again, where I'm trying to actually get to where we disagree. And the meat of it, where we do disagree, and I already got to this a while ago, is that we're willing to accept different standards of evidence with regard to what we claim to know or believe or understand about reality. And in your case, it's an argument from ignorance. It's a argument from personal incredulity. It's an I can't think of anything better, so this is the answer I'm going to accept, followed by the outlandish, unsupported, completely arrogant assertion that you are so understanding of this that you know that there will never be the type of proof that would satisfy me. You don't know that. You don't know what I know. You don't know what rational is, and we're done for the week. Thanks to everybody for hanging out. A little bit extra after the call. We're going to Pluckers. Thanks to the folks on the interwebs who I'm sure just, I don't know, somebody probably came from that, but I appreciate it, and I have a bird I have to put up and food to
No animals were harmed during that.
There's one final lady who's been waiting for quite a while. I don't know if you want to get to her real quick or
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Thank her, apologize, we're way over time for the show, and make a note, see if we can get her on first next week.